1:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Romesh Piris and read by Geethanjali Ramanayaka. The headlines. The UNDCO Regional Director for Asia Pacific calls on the President. The special HRCSL investigation into unrest to begin today. Non-parliament parties to hold a special discussion with the NEC. The 2021 A-level practicals to get underway from today. The CBSL announces amnesty period to deposit or sell foreign currency in the hands of public. Japan provides 500 million yen medical grant to Sri Lanka. Australia to boost extra $25 million emergency aid to Sri Lanka. A 10-hour water cut in Colombo tomorrow due to essential improvement work. International news, UN chief warns damage to the nuclear plant would be suicide. Sports, tennis, Emma Raducanu loses but Cameron Norrie wins in Cincinnati. News in detail. The Regional Director for Asia Pacific of the UN Development Coordination Office, David McLachlan-Carr, who arrived in Sri Lanka earlier this week, has called on President Ranil Wickremesinghe on Thursday. The meeting was joined by UN Resident Coordinator in Sri Lanka, Hannah Singer-Hamdi, and Strategic Planner Team Leader of Resident Coordinator Office, Andreas Karpati. The support extended by the United Nations to Sri Lanka in the current crisis was taken up for discussion. The delegation reiterated that the UN system is committed to working with Sri Lankan government to ensure coordinated UN emergency assistance and support and early recovery in health, education, food security and disaster risk education. Meanwhile, President Ranil Wickremesinghe is due to travel to Tokyo, Japan next month for talks with Japanese Premier Fumio Kishida. The president, in an interview with Reuters, said Sri Lanka will ask Japan to invite the Indian Ocean Islands' main creditor nations, including China and India, to talks on bilateral debt restructuring as a way out of the worst economic crisis in decades. The Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka's special investigation into the violence reported in the country on the 9th of May and subsequently including incidents of houses being torched will commence today. Chairman of the Commission, retired Supreme Court Judge Rohini Marasinghe said 5 members of Parliament whose homes were destroyed will be summoned daily to record statements. An investigation committee led by a special officer has been appointed to conduct the investigation. Chairman of the Commission said more than 100 complaints have been lodged in relation to damages and destruction caused to houses and property on the 9th of May and subsequently. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The National Election Commission says that a special discussion will be held on the 23rd of August between members of political parties who are not represented in Parliament and election monitors. The chairman of the National Election Commission, Attorney at Law Nimalji Punchiheva, said that representatives of 55 political parties have been invited to the meeting. Previously, the NEC held discussions with all political parties represented in Parliament on the proposal of the Select Committee of Parliament to identify appropriate reforms of the election laws and the electoral system. The Minister of Finance has issued an order granting an amnesty period of 1 month with effect from 15th of August 2022 in order to attract foreign currency held with the public into the banking system. Accordingly, the amnesty period will be granted for the people within or resident in Sri Lanka who hold foreign currency notes in possession to deposit them into a personal foreign currency account or business foreign currency account as specified in the order as applicable, to sell them to an authorized dealer such as a licensed commercial bank or national savings bank. Moreover, further information regarding the matter can be accessed by contacting any licensed commercial bank or national savings bank or by contacting the Foreign Exchange Department through 011 2477 255 or 011 239 8511. So the numbers are 011 2477 255 or 011 239 8511. And the email address is dfe@cbsl.lk. That's dfe@cbsl.lk. The government of Japan has provided medical equipment and technical assistance to improve non-communicable disease treatment facilities at the Sri Javadhanpura Hospital under the Japanese government non-project grant aid program. Based on the request of the Sri Lankan government, the Japanese government agreed to provide a 500 million yen grant under the Japanese non-project grant aid scheme for the provision of equipment to improve facilities at the hospital. The exchange of notes pertaining to the grant was signed by Secretary to the Ministry of Finance, K.M. Mahinda Sirivardhana, on behalf of Sri Lanka and Japanese Ambassador Hideki Mizukoshi on Thursday at the Ministry of Finance. The Australian government will lift emergency aid to Sri Lanka to 75 million Australian dollars as the country grapples with economic crisis that has triggered a new surge of people fleeing on boats to Australia. Sri Lanka's worst financial meltdown has seen the year-on-year inflation climbing beyond 60%. The deterioration of living conditions has resulted in renewal of attempted boat arrivals in Australia from Sri Lanka, with 5 vessels being intercepted by Australian Border Force, with a total of 137 people on board and 15 more carrying 701 passengers all up being stopped in Sri Lankan waters. Police say 12 individuals have been arrested during the protest march organised by the Inter-University Students' Federation last afternoon. The IUSF convener Vasantha Mudalige and 5 others were arrested by police at Union Place last evening. Police media spokesman SSP Nihal Talduwa said Mudalige was arrested on a court warrant. The other individuals were arrested on charges of unruly behaviour. The students of the IUSF were also met with the water cannons and tear gas at Union Place. And that ends local news for now.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
And in the main news story, the Department of Examinations will conduct practical examinations from today for candidates who were unable to face the practicals of the 2021 GC Advanced Level Examination. Accordingly, candidates can take the practicals today, tomorrow, and on Sunday, the 21st. Commissioner General of Examinations, LMD Dharmasena, said 425 students who sat for the written exam and were unable to face the practicals or completed the practicals midway have applied for the second time. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Watch Life is brought to you by
A Strength to Your Life. CIB Janajaya Vasana has commenced. Valuable gifts and all bills are on 31st of October. Come to CIB today.
The National Water Supply and Drainage Board said a 10-hour water cut will be in place in several areas in Colombo tomorrow from 11 p.m. to 9 a.m. on Sunday due to essential improvement work. As such, water supply to Colombo 5 and 6 will be interrupted, while water supply will be at low pressure in Colombo 4. The NWSDB advises consumers to fill sufficient water ahead and express regret for inconvenience caused. It also requests people to use water cautiously. And that was Watchlight.
A Strength to Your Life. CIB Janajaya Vasana has commenced. Valuable gifts and all bills are on 31st of October. Come to CIB today.
And in world news, the headlines: UN chief warns damage to the nuclear plant would be suicide. Rushdie attacks suspect pleads not guilty to attempted murder. Possible breakthrough to destroy harmful forever chemicals. World news in detail. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has said he is gravely concerned about fighting near the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant in southern Ukraine. He made the comments during a summit with Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky and Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan in Lviv. Mr. Guterres warned any potential damage to Zaporizhzhia is suicide. It was Mr. Zelensky and Mr. Guterres' first meeting since April, when Kyiv was hit by rockets during the visit. Mr. Erdogan echoed the UN chief's concerns, telling reporters that he was worried about the danger of another Chernobyl disaster erupting at the plant. The man accused of attacking acclaimed author Salman Rushdie last week in New York State has pleaded not guilty to attempted murder and assault charges. Hadi Matar, the 24-year-old accused of repeatedly stabbing Rushdie on stage during a U.S. literary event, entered the not guilty plea on Thursday during an arraignment hearing in upstate New York. A grand jury indicted him earlier in the day on one count of second-degree attempted murder, which carries a maximum sentence of 25 years in prison, and one count of second-degree assault. Last Friday's attack against Rushdie, the 75-year-old author of books such as The Satanic Verses and an outspoken advocate of freedom of expression, at an event in Chautauqua, New York. New research says chemists have identified how to destroy forever chemicals in a low-cost way. For the first time, scientists have linked exposures to the substance known as PFAS or poly- and perfluoroalkyl substances at certain levels to serious health risks, including cancer and birth defects. Their resistance to water, oil and stain make them highly useful. PFAS are used in hundreds of everyday objects from frying pans to makeup, but it is these properties that make them so difficult to destroy. Back to the headlines of the world news. UN chief warns damage to the nuclear plant would be suicide. Rushdie attack suspect pleads not guilty to attempted murder. Possible breakthrough to destroy harmful forever chemicals. And that was world news. On to development news. Minister of Aviation Nimal Siripala de Silva says steps will be taken to privatize the Matale International Airport. Speaking to media, the minister said a certain section of shares of the airport will also be sold. The minister said the Matale Airport should be transformed into a profit-generating entity. He said the airport must be transformed to generate foreign exchange while restructuring the aviation process in the country. Minister de Silva noted that quality of care must also be improved. The minister also stated that airlines have been requested to submit proposals pertaining to facilities that should be improved and available at the Matale Airport. And that ends development news. Up next is sports news.
Sports news is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
Tennis news. Emma Raducanu's dominant form at the Cincinnati Open ends as 7th seed Jessica Pegula proved a sharp step up in class of British number one. Raducanu had trounced veterans Serena Williams and Victoria Azarenka, but lost 7-5, 6-4 to Pegula in the last 16. Now the 19-year-old switches her focus to defending her crown as the US Open, which starts in New York on 29th of August. Meanwhile, Cameron Norrie continued the British interest by beating Ben Shelton to reach the men's quarter-finals. British men's number one Norrie, seeded 9th, won 6-0, 6-2 against the teenage American wildcard as a gulf between the pair showed. Meanwhile, in rugby news, two equally good teams, St. Thomas's College and St. Peter's College, will clash in their annual inter-schools under-20 rugby encounter for the Archibald Pereira Trophy at Bambalapitiya today. Both teams had a disappointing league tournament with several setbacks and few defeats, and now they will look to restart with an improved performance in preparation for next week's knockouts. That was sports news.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
International airports provide exclusive passenger services for their premium passengers, especially for high-net-worth individuals who are looking for premium service at airports. At present, Bandar Naik International Airport offers only the Silk Route service facility for commercially important passengers on a payment basis which does not target the high-net-worth individuals. Therefore, the objective of serving the travel needs of the aviation and tourism industry, Airport and Aviation Services Sri Lanka Private Limited launched its newly established service product under the brand name Gold Route to provide a premium airport experience for its valued passengers who travel through the BIA. Further, this new service will contribute to earning additional foreign currency for the country.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSP You Trust.
And in economic news, the governor of the central bank says that Sri Lanka's negotiation with the International Monetary Fund is making good progress and that an IMF delegation is expected to visit the island by the end of August to reach a staff level agreement. Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe said the IMF program is making good progress and added that after Sri Lanka reaches a staff level agreement with the IMF, the country would also have to engage with its creditors on debt restructuring. And in the weather report, the Met Department predicts showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in the central, Uva, eastern and north central provinces during the evening or night. Several spells of showers may occur in the western and Sabaragamu provinces and in the Galle and Matra districts. The general public is urged to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by temporarily localized strong winds and lightning during thunder showers. Sea areas, a few showers will occur in sea areas extending from Colombo to Matra via Galle. That was the weather report. And to end this news broadcast, the headlines again. The UNDCO Regional Director for Asia Pacific calls on President. The special HRCSL investigation into unrest to begin today. Non-parliament parties to hold a special discussion with the NEC. The 2021 A-level practicals to get underway from today. The CBSL announces amnesty period to deposit or sell foreign currency in the hands of public. Japan provides 500 million yen medical grant to Sri Lanka. Australia to boost extra $25 million emergency aid to Sri Lanka. A 10-hour water cut in Colombo tomorrow due to essential improvement work. International news, UN chief warns damage to the nuclear plant would be suicide. Sports tennis, Emma Raducanu loses, but Cameron Norrie wins in Cincinnati. And with that, we end the news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.